All right. Fastest 15 minutes on the internet, fastest 15 minutes in social media. My name is Judson Powell. And anyway, so but keep it in perspective with the whole African spirituality thing. I know there's like so much to talk about. Ice Cube is a coon. All right. Sorry, but he's working for Donald Trump. Anyway, look it up on the internet. Anyway, let me get back to the African spirituality. I know, y'all, I drop a bomb like that, but I ain't going to say nothing about it because I promised my wife that I would stick to teaching, what I know, what I really know. All right, so now we were talking about how the woman is God, and I know everybody gets mad at me when I talk stuff like that, and they, I always get attacked. So the construct of God, once again, is a Greco-Roman construct. We didn't have God. We had netters. And so once again, I want to get back into that. And so I want you to look at the differences in the nature of men and women. And the other thing is, when you're looking at this stuff and you're studying this stuff, you have to realize, you have got to 100% realize that men and women are different on purpose. It has nothing to do with, oh, I got my rights and I can do it. That was not it. Because you have to once again remember that everything in Kemetic spirituality and science is based on that. It's based on spirituality and it's based on science. It's based on fact. It's not based on how you feel, F how you feel, F how you feel, really. Because you were made different. Men were made different from women, and women were made different from men on purpose. Because what? Once again, what's one of the, if you live within the means of Mayat, right? Mayat is balance. Well, that's why people get mad at us when we talk about different things. So like if you talk about, let me bring it up, homosexuality, all right? Well, what is the Ankh? The Ankh represents life. It represents the woman is the round part at the top of the Ankh, the male, which is the stem of the Ankh, and then across is the fallopian tubes, right? So the whole thing is talking about how to procreate and how to bring life. All right. Now, far be it from me, and don't get me wrong, I'm not putting anybody down, but the bottom line is scientifically, two people of the same gender cannot procreate. All right. And this is not putting anybody down for their beliefs or anything like that. Trust me, it's not. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to teach you science. Like, look, our spirituality was based on facts and science. Okay, the next thing was in the nature, because in the nature of the woman, and we can go into some rabbinical stuff or Talmud type stuff where the Rab, and I talk to my children about this. Your mother, once again, and I brought this up in another video, your mother is the first teacher. All right, so your mom is the first teacher, right? Teach you how to walk, talk, eat, drink, everything that you need in order to what? Sustain the what? The root chakra, the Kundalini. Okay, because if you think about it, the Kundalini is very unique as a chakra because everything that you need to happen, like you don't need any knowledge. Just like that's why people have sex and have babies. Nobody really taught you. Nobody really teaches you how to have sex or have babies, but there's like all these nerve endings in your genitalia that, and then plus, and it's connected also, it is connected to the mind, right? So think about it. So the first thing, in order to change the society, what the Greeks and the Romans, the Roman Catholic Church, what they had to do was they had to get rid of that concept, which is why spiritually the rudiment of so much homosexuality and pedophilia in the Roman Catholic Church. The reason why it's there is because they spoke it and they put it into existence. Why? Because they denied what? The original Trinity, which was Mother, Father, and children. That's the Trinity. That's the original Trinity, right? And so they changed it to the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, right? Really? So now, these basically all of this pedophilia and all this stuff that's going on, and you look at the King James Version of the Bible, especially the New Testament, it's all written by homosexuals and pedophiles. And that's why I tell everybody, it's like, look, it's the manifest destiny of the white race. Because that stuff did not, and I'm not trying to say this to be cruel or mean-hearted or mean-spirited or anything like that. But if you go through and you look at all the hieroglyphs and the papyrus and all that, you never saw any of that depicted ever. But if you go through Greek and you go through Roman art, you will see pedophilia and you will see homosexuality prominently displayed. So once again, if you go to the root of things, you go to the root and you say, oh, how did this happen? Or how did this come about? That's how. Because remember, we plant seeds. And so the church planted seeds thousands of years ago. And then not only did they plant the seeds, but then they watered them by making people take vows of celibacy, which is not life. It's unnatural for you not to procreate. It's unnatural for a man not to desire a woman, or for a woman not to desire a man. And then as time went on, society, made it bad. They turned sex into something that was evil or bad. And and depending on the culture, so in their culture, that was bad. But then flip it over, and you take like Asian culture where they have the Kama Sutra, and they encourage it, but they encourage it what? Within marriage. So what happened? So you end up getting millions of Asian and Indian based people. That's why. So it's not, you don't have to be mystified by certain things, but that's why. And as we were enslaved over time, we were indoctrinated into this religion, and also eventually into their sexuality. We had busting cans. The white men were having sex with the male slaves. It was supposed to be a way of denigrating or degrading them, right? So think about it. So now, so we remove everything that deals with procreation in life, which is what everything was supposed to be about. And also, when we did away with that, that's why in the indoctrination of certain things, that's why they tried to destroy the family. Black exploitation, films, all of those type of things, they were created so that they could continue the further destruction of the Trinity. Because that's what the Trinity really was. It was Father, Son, Holy Spirit. So where's the female energy? So they started doing Hail Marys and worshiping Mary. That's why they worship Mary. That's why they have idols to Mary. Because at some point they realized without any female energy, we're losers. So that's how all that came about, as well as taking the chakra energy, and just like shutting women up in the church. Like we always get in arguments about that. Well, a woman is supposed to be silent in the church and all that kind of stuff. What does that do? It silences the what? The throat chakra. It dampens the chakra energy. Why? Because it makes the person be quiet. And that might not be what the real spirit is actually saying to that woman. Just like what I talked about last time about the protection of the woman, because the woman in the balance of things. The man is more earthly or physical plane, and the woman is more spiritual plane. But when you put them together, because she's they make up balance. But if you take her out of the equation, then what happens? You end up making a lot of mistakes as a man. And the only way that they have been able to ever overcome those mistakes is what? By having money, or stealing money, or stealing whatever it is they thought they needed. But they weren't hearing from the Akashic records or from the Most High or anything spiritual. What they were hearing was just, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and so that's how they brought everything about. But you can't there's no way that woman, and like I said, if you look at all the papyrus, if you look at all the hieroglyphs, everything, that I've been able to find and that I've been able to study, that I've been able to research, there's always that aspect where the woman is the protector, because she's speaking directly into the spiritual plane more than the man is. And it takes a while. It takes longer for a man to become enlightened. But because we got rid of the matriarch, we got rid of the matriarchal system, and it continues to this day. That's why we have such a high divorce rate. Like, divorce didn't exist. All of these things, that was in the Bible. That was written into the Bible. He said, because of the hardness of your heart. I know that Bible back and forth. And the bottom line is, the reason why, because it was released into the atmosphere. It was released into the spiritual realm. Because that was never supposed to be the case. And now I know we got all these people talking about, polygamy and all this kind of stuff, but it wasn't nasty. See, y'all trying to just be nasty. Right? That's all y'all just trying. But the real concept behind that was the fact that you don't get rid of somebody, that you add them to. See, but the system, the Greco-Roman system, is you just X that person out, and they're persona non grata in your life. And so that's how come we have people that don't care. But as far as the Most High, that was never the intent of the Most High. And everything, that's how come the universal law of gender, everything has gender. Everything, polarity, everything has an opposite. As above, so below. Everything is balanced, should be balanced. And whenever you knock all of that stuff out, then all of a sudden, you're out of balance. And once you get out of balance, then you start suffering the consequences and the repercussions of being out of balance. That's what people suffer. That's why people suffer in the universe. Because once you start going against the laws and the science of the universe, then you have to pay for those consequences. And see, because none of this stuff existed in Kush or Kemet or anything like that. None of those concepts existed. All of those things were introduced to us by what? By the Roman Catholic Church and by Caucasians. That's why, and I keep telling people, it's like, that's why when the Moors civilized, the Caucasian. But not really, because they understood, certain things, but they didn't stick to them. And if you notice, the people that stick the closest to the universal law, they're usually the most successful. They are. Why? Because everything else is affected, by whatever you plant at the foundation, at the root. And then they told us that everything that we did, they tried to say that darkness and all this stuff, melanin is dark. The universe is dark. And everything comes to the light. So everything that they told you is wrong. Just like, for example, like astrology. If you and your mate would have done your astrological charts, you could have known from the beginning whether or not you were compatible and whether or not you could stay married forever. Just throw that out there. Fastest 15 minutes is up. I'm trying to stick to the spirituality, honey. I love you. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that. Hit the buttons. Hit the love button. Love button.